What's up, you guys? So odd sound. All right. So today, doing the 50-mile full review of the Puma Deviate Nitro, and today's episode is brought to you. Light just went out. Today's episode is brought to you by Puma Grip. For all of your traction-seeking needs, look no further than Puma Grip. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. This is 50-mile full review of the Puma Deviate Nitro. So I have taken this on all sorts of different runs. I have done a half marathon in these shoes. I've done 10Ks in these shoes. I've done 5Ks in these shoes. I've done some training tempo days. I've even done some easy days in these shoes. So I've kind of given it a variance of different paces, distances, times, all that kind of stuff to make sure that I got you the absolute best review that I possibly could on the Puma Deviate Nitros. These are not the Elite, they are the Nitros, just the regular Deviate Nitros. So I'm going to start off with the upper on this shoe. In my initial video, I had said that there was a little concern, and I did actually run into an issue initially with right back here in the heel collar area. It just kind of rubbed my Achilles tendon on my right foot the wrong way, that it caused a blister. And I'm going to say that after probably about 15 miles, maybe 20 miles in the shoe, it kind of, the upper loosened up quite a bit, and this actually became a little bit more flexible. And I also learned that if you wear, instead of like, you know, low, no-show socks, if you go to an ankle sock or maybe a high ankle sock, that it just gives you a little bit extra protection against this little Achilles area right here. But otherwise, the upper, it breathes really well, although it's getting really hot out there. It is kind of like a dual layer mesh underneath this, so when you feel inside, it's got a nice kind of like another layer underneath in the toe box that's kind of, it's not plush, but it's not like super thin either. It's hard to describe. It's like an extension of the gusseted tongue material that's inside the shoe. I don't know if I can get it to where you guys can see it, but there's like this black gusseted material that's here, and it extends from pretty much right here all the way up through the toe box area. So it does get a little bit on the warmer side. Just me personally, I would almost prefer if they had just left the gusseted tongue and then open the toe box. Like, don't need that material up in the front, just because it's like super hot outside. But vice versa to that, if you're running with the shoe in like the winter time, if you didn't have that little area to cover it up, your feet might get a little cold, because the upper mesh on the top is super breathable. So I know it's trying to find a compromise as a company, but that's just, you know, it's just something that I noticed that I would, you know, I would prefer the breathability. But they did come out with a new material that's like what's it called? I think it's like Cool Active or something like that for Puma, that they're putting on all of the Nitro shoes. That's supposed to help keep your feet a little bit cooler. So that is something to kind of look into. If you live in a warmer climate, you might want to go to that the new Cool Active, I think it's Cool Active, material that they're going to be using in the Nitro shoes. But if you live up north, I think or in a northern country where, you know, you get some nice cool mornings, maybe hot days but cool mornings, or just some cooler winter temperatures, this upper is going to do just fine for you. Lockdown is okay. Not the best lockdown that I would say I've had out of all of my shoes, mainly because of the heel counter here, because there's really not like any structure to this heel counter. I mean, there's a little bit, but not much. But I mean, over the top of the foot, super comfortable, have no issues there. The tongue is very lightly padded, so it doesn't feel like it's cutting into your foot, but it doesn't also feel like this big super plush tongue either. I did have to runner's lace this because once the upper got broken in, the upper became kind of really loose, so doing the runner's lace really helped with the lockdown in the heel area of the shoe. But otherwise, it's a relatively comfortable upper. Lockdown is not, I wouldn't say it's great, but it could be a lot worse. You know, if I had to say, it's definitely not like the constant heel slip feel that you get out of like the Nike Infinity runs, but it's definitely not like a nice lockdown like you would get on the Saucony Axons, which have an awesome lockdown. So lockdown score, out of 10, I'd probably give the lockdown score 7 out of 10. It's good, but it's not fantastic. You know, all honesty, if they put the heel collar that's on the Velocity Nitro on this shoe, would have been an absolute banger. I mean, this thing would have been an absolute banger. So I'm gonna have no ill qualms to give it a score of a 7 out of 10. You know, on the upper, just because it could be a little bit better lockdown on the upper, and I wish it was just a little bit more breathable. But again, I live in a really warm climate, so I would appreciate the breathability. Now going into the midsole here, nitro infused EVA midsole. This is their proprietary system. Now this is a type of material that first showed up from Skechers with their Hyperburst midsole foam, and then Brooks did it also with the Hyperion Tempo shoe. They used a nitrogen infused foam. Now Puma's using that same kind of technology in all of their Nitro shoes. So it doesn't matter if it's the Liberate Nitro, if it's the Deviate Nitro, the Velocity Nitro. I mean, they've got a bunch of these Nitro shoes, but this is full Nitro midsole, because the Velocity Nitro, there's a little bit of a regular EVA midsole back here, just in this area underneath the plate. This is full Nitro foam, but it has a carbon composite inno plate inside the shoe, as well as this little heel clip right here to add a little bit of stability. Initially, on the first couple of runs that I did in this shoe, felt a little unstable, particularly in the heel area. I can see why they added that plate in there to kind of add some stability to the heel of the shoe. But as I started running in this shoe and putting more miles on it, it definitely became a little bit more stable. Either that or I just became stronger. I'm not exactly sure which one came first, but it is a semi-neutral running shoe. Not a lot of flex there, which is, you know, part of it is because there is that carbon composite plate in it, that carbon composite inno plate that they have in it, and you can actually see it right down in there, is that carbon composite inno plate, just to kind of show you that it is inside that midsole foam. And I'm assuming that by looking at it, it kind of runs along, there's a little seam line right here that I'm assuming somewhere around that area is where that carbon composite plate is running. And it is a full length from toe to heel carbon composite, or it might be, yeah, it's, according to Puma, it's full length carbon composite plate. And I do have to say that it is, in my opinion, it's almost the perfect balance of cushion and energy return, because it's not too firm of a ride, but it's also not a super soft ride. So it does have a lot of compression to it. You can see in the forefoot area, it does have some pretty decent compression. And then also in the, we'll do this, in the heel area, you can see a lot of bounce back, even after 50 miles, a lot of bounce back here. But you can see it only pushes up so far, and then it kind of runs into that plate that's inside the shoe. So it only pushes up so far, and then your foot is going to compress the rest of that down, so it kind of meets halfway. Overall, I really do like the way it rides. I like the energy return. I like the way that it feels underfoot. And again, using it for so many different paces, that's the other thing, is I've been able to do easy days in this shoe. I've been able to do tempo days in this shoe. I've been able to do a half marathon, 10Ks, 5Ks. I've been able to do a lot of different paces in this shoe, and I think that's what really I really love about this nitrogen infused, or the nitro foam that Puma is using. Is it's such a versatile type of material. It's bouncy, it's got a lot of energy return, but it's also got a lot of cushion to it as well, so it doesn't feel like it's beating up your legs so much. So like today's run, I took these out. It was only a 4-mile run, but it was a 4-mile tempo run, and it felt really good underfoot. Felt like I was getting a lot of energy return. And if you use that toe off, I mean, there's a lot of spring back in that plate. So, but because of the foam, if you go slower pace to where you don't preload that carbon fiber plate, you don't have to worry about it, because that nitrogen infused foam has the energy return and the cushion that you need to go at a slower pace. And then if you want to pick up the pace, that carbon fiber, the carbon composite plate that's inside the shoe, really offers a lot of pop to help you move forward with it. So midsole, the midsole score, because of the ride and energy return, and just the way that it's built, and you know, not a whole lot of creasing in here, pretty normal for a 50-mile shoe, for me anyways. I'm gonna have to give this an 8.5 out of 10 on the midsole. So good score on the midsole. Puma's really onto something. I think it's a fantastic midsole. Can't wait to try out some other Puma shoes in the future because of this midsole. Going on to the outsole, man, all I can say is Puma grip is amazing. Doesn't matter what conditions that I have put this in, it offers amazing grip. Now, most of my running is on the pavement, so I haven't really used a lot of this in light trail conditions. I mean, you can tell just by looking at the way that this is designed. It's not exactly like lugs that are built for trail running, but if you were on some, like, you know, some light trails, something that's packed along a route, then this should do just fine. It's going to offer some really good grip, because even in like the gravel areas on the roads that I run, even you know, some sandy patches from like dump trucks that are building houses in the area, that they've dropped sand on the roadway, I've ran through it. There's no slip to this shoe, absolutely no slip. The wet weather traction is fantastic. It's really an amazing shoe, and the amount of grip that's on here and the durability is absolutely amazing. Puma is really onto something. I'm glad that they used this system. They could have gone to like a what is it, Goodyear, Michelin, whoever else is at Continental, like Adidas does, but they didn't. They used their own proprietary rubber, and it's fantastic. The durability on this is absolutely amazing. 50 miles and it almost looks like there's nothing. And that says a lot for a heavier runner to be running in these shoes and to see almost no wear on this outsole right here. So outsole, it's the only issue, the only drawback to it would be there's a lot of it, which adds weight to the shoe. So if you're looking for a lighter weight runner, you might want to look a little bit elsewhere, but I'm not gonna lie, it's really good. I'm gonna give this a 9. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 because it's just fantastic. I mean, it's so much good grip, a lot of durability in here. This is easily something that's going to last hundreds of miles, easily lasts hundreds of miles for a normal runner that's out there. So, and again, the grip level is just absolutely amazing. Doesn't matter what condition I've thrown it into, it just has a ton of grip. Wet, dry, sandy, gravel, it's just grips. It just grips. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 on the outsole here. So that's going to be the story of the outsole. So ride and energy return. The ride and energy return, or well, actually, so we're going to go comfort score, ride energy return, and then durability scores on this. So comfort score, toe box is a little narrow, and I wish it was just a little bit more secure over, around the heel area. So I'm going to go 7.5 out of 10 on the comfort score. It just could be a little bit better, but what brings it up is the comfort underfoot, I think, is really good. So ride and energy return is 8 out of 10. Going out at 8 out of 10 on it just because it's a little bit on the firmer side for me, but it has so much good energy return to it. But it's also a little bit on the softer side. So if you're looking for a shoe that's kind of a little bit more racy, you may want to go up to the Deviate Nitro Elite, or maybe one of the other shoes out there that I will list off here in a second. For ride and energy return, it might be a little bit better, but again, if you're looking for something that's a little bit versatile, so you could go slower, faster, so on and so forth, this shoe's going to do a fantastic job. It's great for slow paces, great for fast paces. Definitely not a threshold shoe, but if you're looking for your tempo days, your 5K paces, 10K paces, half marathon training, even full marathon training, you could easily do that in this shoe. Everything pretty much outside of thresholds, and even then you could probably do it in this shoe, but it depends on what your training level's at. But this is definitely more of a long run trainer shoe than anything. So I would, ride energy return, I think is an 8. I think it's a solid score for this particular shoe as far as its ride and energy return. Durability prediction, and this is coming from my weight, I'm going to say 300 at my weight. So on a regular person, probably 450, 500 miles. Easily. Upper looks perfect. Outsole is amazing. A little bit of creasing on the midsole, but you also have to remember I'm a heavier runner, so if you're a lighter weight runner, this is probably going to last you a lot longer. But even then, I mean, just the way the midsole is holding up, I think it's going to be fantastic. And again, the outsole is just in fantastic shape after 50 miles. So I'm going to say, for a normal person, 450, 500 miles out of this shoe. And for somebody heavier like me, probably about 300 miles is what you can probably get out of this shoe. So durability score, I'm going to go 9 out of 10 on the durability score. So that being said, what do I compare this to? Easily the Saucony Endorphin Speed. Although the Saucony Endorphin Speed is a little bit lighter weight, I will admit that, but I think the Saucony Endorphin Speed is pretty much right in the same category, both price-wise too, because this is $160. Saucony Endorphin Speed is also $160, so they're right in the same price range. And okay. So the Saucony Endorphin Speed is also $160. This is $160 as well. And the only thing is the Saucony is a little bit more breathable. It's also a little bit lighter weight. And I think the Saucony has a little bit better lockdown than this particular shoe does. But as far as what they're meant for, they're pretty much right in the same category. You could almost put the Nike Zoom Fly 3 in the same category just because it's a carbon plated shoe. $160. It's got a React foam under it, so it's more durable. It's got a pretty durable outsole to it, so you can put the Nike Zoom Fly 3 in the same category as well. And I'm trying to think of anything else that would kind of fall into that category, into this category. That's really it. That's all I can think of as far as those shoes are concerned. Maybe the... Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. I'm sure like maybe the New Balance Fuel Cell RC Elite, maybe, but I think that's more of like a pro racer shoe. So yeah, we'll go with the Saucony Endorphin Speed, we'll go with the Nike Zoom Fly 3, and this all kind of in the same category. So this, again, kind of 50 mile full review of this particular shoe, the Puma Deviate Nitro, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, guys, enjoy the run.